I was going to title this particular segment Storm in a D Cup. Oh, I know, racy or what? But it's a battle of two battling blondes of an era of the golden age of Hollywood. None other than Marilyn Monroe and some might say the impersonator herself, Jayne Mansfield, in a race to be quite literally the very first to do this. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. Neil Sean, how are you? Nice to see you, and thank you so much for joining me today. I know, as I often say here on the show, I've been lucky enough, as I say, to meet so many wonderful stars, really, of the latter period of the golden age of Hollywood. And I truly went out of my way to meet them. You know, when they would send you on these junkets and things, particularly the channels back then, they were always wanting the person of the day, you know, somebody who'd been on The Apprentice or won Strictly or something. And I was far more interested in the likes of Sid Charisse and, you know, Al Martino and stuff like that. People really that just had a story. It was always more interesting. As I said the other day, older people have lived, they've got stories, and quite frankly, the golden age of Hollywood really had so many wonderful stories. This particular story really was passed on to me all thanks to one of those Hollywood legends, and it centres upon Marilyn Monroe's very final film, filmed way back in 1962, called Something's Got to Give. It was originally going to star Frank Sinatra, then James Gardner, but he pulled out, and then finally they were looking at someone who was on a TV series. That's right, Johnny Ringo himself, Don Durant. But apparently Marilyn felt that he looked too young opposite her. Marilyn was just a mere 36 at the time, but worried about losing her sex symbol status. So Dean Martin was drafted in, a familiar friend, an old friend, and they figured that this would make filming great. Sadly, it didn't go to plan, but Marilyn did have her own plan. She wanted to knock her arch rival, Elizabeth Taylor, off the front covers of the magazines around the world. So she came up with this, a nude skinny dip, a first on American film. An absolute first. Nobody had ever done this before. And those particular pictures ended up in Playboy. Yes. But you see, what happened was, very tragically, Marilyn lost her own life in the August of that year, and the film remained unfinished. It didn't come out as part of a documentary. Now, Dean Martin's son told me this, that the plot was that they were going to go back and finish the movie in the early part of 1963. What happened, in fact, was 20th Century Fox, not wanting to lose a lot of money, decided to remake this movie with Doris Day and James Garner, called Move Over Darling, using, in fact, some of Marilyn Monroe's costumes as well. Nothing's wasted in Hollywood. But you see, this would have made Marilyn the very first celluloid star to appear nude on a major motion picture. However, that accolade finally went to her arch rival at the time, Jayne Mansfield, who appeared in a movie called Promises, Promises, very much a low-budget movie of its time, and again co-starring one of Marilyn's former co-stars, Tommy Noonan. Now, what's interesting here is Jayne did appear fully nude. That's right. Now, the movie was a box office smash and gave her a very rare hit. And this is the reason why Jayne has become, shall we say, infamous, you know? She was prepared to do anything for the world of publicity. And more importantly, although she then decided later on in life that she wasn't particularly keen on this particular venture because, you know, ultimately she felt she'd been used by the production team. The bottom line was she became the very first star, as I say, literally, to appear nude. But had things played out differently, it would have been her arch rival, Marilyn Monroe, who was going to appear, shall we say, under the illusion of nudity during that famous swimming scene of Something's Got to Give. As Phil Silvers famously said, who had a small cameo in the role, everybody was ordered off the set, but quite frankly, everybody re-emerged looking in any crook or nanny they could find to get a glimpse of Marilyn au naturel. As ever, I love to share these Hollywood stories with you. Do like and share and let me know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.